Are you looking for ways to save money, but don't know where to start? Budgeting is probably the most important tool to help you better manage your finances and reach your financial goals. But where do you begin? It can be daunting to set up a budget if you're new to it. As with anything else in life, it's best to take it step by step. But before we get started on the basics, let's do a quick recap of why budgets are necessary. Budgeting is a vital tool of your personal finances because it helps you to keep track of your income and expenses, which is the first step towards financial stability. Having a financial plan in place and sticking to it will help you work towards achieving your goals, which leads to financial independence. A budget will help you to pinpoint areas where you can reduce your expenses and make better financial decisions. Creating a budget can also help you to ensure that you have enough money saved up for financial emergencies or unexpected costs. By sticking to a budget, you can better manage your finances and ensure that you're not overspending or going into debt unnecessarily, both of which can have grave consequences in the long run. It's also a great way to gain financial independence and ensure that your money is being managed responsibly and sustainably. By committing to budgeting and not overspending, you can set yourself up for a much more secure financial situation, both now and in the future. Setting your financial goals. Setting financial goals is a good habit to practice. It gives you the why. That is, the reason you're setting up a budget in the first place. It's important to identify clear and achievable goals so you can work towards them in a realistic manner. For example, if you want to save for a deposit for a house or an apartment, determine exactly how much you need to save, and then set yourself a target timeline. Your budget is then the tool that will help you map out how to get there, and also whether your timeline is reasonable and achievable. Having these goals in place will help keep you motivated on the path to financial success, as well as ensure that your hard-earned money is working towards something positive. When it comes to setting goals, think about your lifestyle and what you would like to accomplish in future. Goals can be both short-term and long-term, and you can create a plan to help you reach either of these objectives, along with some smart financial decisions that will help you get there. Also, keep in mind that you don't have to accomplish all your goals at once. You can set up budgets and plans that will get you there slowly, but surely. Whatever goals you have in mind, budgeting will help you achieve them in a more structured and manageable way. Understanding your income and expenses. Your incomings or income and your outgoings or expenses are the basic building blocks to a budget. It's important to be aware of how much income you are receiving and what expenses you are incurring each month. If you earn a steady monthly paycheck, identifying your income will be pretty easy. But it's not a problem either if your income tends to fluctuate. All you have to do is look back at the last 6 months or so and work out your average. That will be a good starting point to identify your monthly income. Try to be conservative in estimating your income. It's usually better to underestimate rather than overestimate. Identifying expenses can be a little trickier. One way to start is to think of the common expense categories that most people have, which are things like rent, mortgage repayments, food and groceries, HOA payments, utilities, insurance and subscriptions. From these categories, you can branch out and identify the individual items and how much you spend on them each month. For example, you would probably list your electricity bill and your water bills under utilities. If you can't remember how much you spend on these items every month, it's a good idea to take the next couple of months or so to track your spending, which you can then input into your budget. If you regularly use a credit or debit card for purchases or paying for bills, another good way to identify expenses is to download your transaction history. Most banks make these available in a format that can be imported into a spreadsheet for you to analyze and categorize. This also has the extra advantage of additional data, such as the name of the store or merchant where you spent money. This can give you some interesting insights of where your money is typically going every month. For example, if you find that you regularly fill up your car at the same gas station, it might be worthwhile exploring if there is some kind of loyalty card available that can give you discounts. Your transaction history can be a real treasure trove of information and trends, which you can use to help you control your spending in a more meaningful way. As they say, data is the new oil. Putting it into practice. In terms of how to put your budget into action, there are a variety of financial tracking tools available for you to choose from. These include mobile apps, spreadsheets, and more, so take the time to find one that fits your lifestyle. But don't think that you have to spend money buying an app right from the get-go. It's perfectly fine to start with a spreadsheet like Google Sheets, and then move on to more sophisticated tools once you get the hang of budgeting and tracking. Some sophisticated budgeters even stick with a spreadsheet throughout, as it can be customized to their exact needs. So don't spend too much time trying to find the perfect tool. Just pick one that's the most convenient for you right now, and you can always change later. Getting started is more important than wasting time seeking perfection. Tips for sticking to your budget. Now that your budget's been set up, the next step is sticking to it. This is by no means a straightforward thing, and it can be challenging to stay on track. Referring to your budget frequently to closely track your spending will help you identify any areas of unnecessary expenditure that you need to adjust in order to stay on course. Consider starting with a budget that allows you to prioritize essential expenses, save for the future, and yet still splurge on the occasional indulgence. This is so that you don't get too discouraged early on, which can happen if you put into place an overly strict budget. With careful financial planning and monitoring, you can still ensure that you're able to stay on top of your finances. You can then think about graduating to slightly more sophisticated budgets, such as the 50-30-20 or the zero-based budget. Have a look at the link in the description for an explainer video on how these work. Disciplining yourself to avoid impulse purchases or lifestyle inflation is also very worthwhile, especially if you're an avid shopper. This can be difficult, but budgets can help, since they put a numerical target on your expenses. It then becomes more difficult psychologically to exceed these self-imposed caps, rather than if you didn't have a budget. And spending would probably be more of an unrestricted type of situation. Setting up automatic payments for recurring bills such as rent, internet bills, and other fixed expenses is another excellent idea. This will help ensure that you don't miss any payments or incur late fees, which is just giving money away unnecessarily. Other discretionary items that can put a hole in your expenses are food and groceries. These tend to be a pretty substantial part of the average monthly budget. But on the flip side, it's something that can be controlled with a little discipline and forward planning. Prepping meals at home and avoiding eating out too often can be big money savers, along with planning your grocery purchases ahead of time. Shopping around for the best deals on things like your mobile bill as well as insurance can often make a sizable impact to your savings as well. Once you've got your expenses laid out in your budget, make it a habit to constantly challenge yourself to reduce these in different, creative ways. Keeping track of renewal dates for your subscriptions are a handy thing to do, so that you can know when it's time to negotiate a better deal with your existing provider, or to start looking for a better, lower-cost alternative. Comparison websites can be a big help in doing this too. Check out these videos next, on the best tips and tricks to help you save more.